All right, so are you ready to get into some really cool stuff? We're going deep on light therapy for skin health today.
Sounds good.
You know, I'm betting you're here because you're wondering, like me, if these gadgets, these like high-tech masks and things, can really deliver on all those promises of, making us look younger.
Yeah.
We dug into a bunch of research for this, and it's all from a piece called Light Therapy, Skin Health and Anti-Aging.
Okay.
And honestly, some of it's kind of mind-blowing. Like different colors of light can do totally different things to our skin.
Yeah.
It sounds like science fiction or something.
It really does. But the thing is, the research is actually pretty compelling.
So it's real, you're saying?
Oh, yeah. It's more science fact than fiction these days. Light therapy, or phototherapy if you want to get technical, is all about using certain wavelengths of light. Oh. And these wavelengths stimulate changes at the cellular level, and the best part is it's non-invasive.
Really?
You don't need needles, no lasers, just light prompting your skin to, be its best self.
I like that. That's really interesting because it's kind of like giving your skin a pep talk, but instead of words, you're using light waves.
Yeah, I like that analogy.
But I have to admit, I'm still a bit fuzzy on the details. So red light, blue light, near infrared, they all have different effects, right?
Right.
Can you break it down for us? How do those different wavelengths actually affect the skin?
Sure. So think of it this way. Each color of light has its own kind of like energy signature, and that energy interacts with our cells differently.
Okay.
So red light, for example, it's really good at stimulating fibroblasts.
Fibro what now?
Fibroblasts. Those are the cells that actually make collagen and elastin.
Ah, okay. The stuff that keeps our skin from, looking like a deflated balloon.
Exactly. And, those proteins naturally decline as we get older.
Oof, tell me about it.
But red light, it's like it gives those collagen-producing cells a kickstart,
Like a workout for your fibroblasts.
Yeah, exactly. It gets them back to work, pumping out more of those essential building blocks for our skin.
And that leads to fewer wrinkles, smoother skin, all that good stuff.
You got it. You'll see a reduction in those fine lines and wrinkles, and your skin will feel firmer and the texture will improve overall.
Okay, red light, I'm starting to see the appeal, but what about blue light? I mostly associate that with acne treatment.
Yeah. Blue light is a powerful weapon against acne, but it's not just about killing bacteria, although it definitely does that very well.
Oh.
So, you see, acne often comes from this bacteria called Propionibacterium acnes, or P. acnes for short.
Go.
And blue light, it specifically targets and destroys that bacteria.
Wow.
It's like a seek and destroy mission against those acne-causing culprits.
That's pretty amazing. It's like a targeted treatment just for the bad stuff.
Yeah.
So what about near-infrared light?
Ah, that one's the real heavy hitter. It penetrates the deepest of all three, going all the way down into the dermis.
Okay.
That's where the collagen and elastin actually live.
And it's like a supercharged version of red light, boosting circulation, helping with healing. This sounds really good for inflammation and even for, like, fading scars.
You got it. So if red light is your collagen booster and blue light is your acne fighter, near infrared light is like your all-around healer.
They're a great team, huh?
Exactly. And sometimes they work best together. There's some research out there that shows that using red and blue light together actually works better for acne than blue light alone.
Interesting.
The red light calms things down, helps with inflammation and healing, while the blue light tackles the bacteria.
1-2 punch.
Yeah.
All right, you definitely got me hooked. But how does all this translate into, actually fighting aging?
Right.
I get that collagen is key, but how does light therapy really turn back the clock on our skin?
Okay, so we know that sun exposure, pollution, even just getting older, they all contribute to breaking down our collagen and elastin.
Right.
And that's what leads to those wrinkles, sagging, and, just losing that youthful plumpness.
The bane of my existence.
But what light therapy does is it basically kickstarts the production of those vital proteins, helps rebuild and strengthen that underlying structure of your skin.
It's like, what's the word? Scaffolding. It's like giving your skin a scaffolding renovation.
Exactly. And that's not all. More collagen and elastin, that also helps smooth out the wrinkles you already have, gives your skin that more youthful look.
So firmer skin, fewer wrinkles, and we can't forget about the healthy glow you mentioned with near-infrared light, right?
Right. Increased circulation from near-infrared delivers those crucial nutrients and oxygen to your skin cells.
So you're telling me a little LED light can do all that? I have to admit, I am a little skeptical.
I get it. But honestly, the research is pretty convincing.
Okay.
Light therapy isn't just about tackling those surface signs of aging. It's actually going after those underlying mechanisms that cause it in the first place.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
And it can even help with sun damage too, right?
Oh, absolutely. Red and near infrared light, they've actually been shown to help repair some of the damage from those harmful UV rays.
Oh, wow.
Helps reduce hypopigmentation and those pesky sunspots. And another important thing, light therapy can seriously calm down inflammation.
Oh, that's huge because inflammation is a big culprit when it comes to aging and even things like rosacea.
Yeah, exactly. So by calming that inflammation down, light therapy is like a bodyguard for your skin, helping to prevent further damage.
It's like a multi-pronged attack on aging.
Yeah.
I'm definitely seeing why people are going crazy for these LED masks and at-home devices.
Yeah.
But before we get into all that, I want to circle back to acne for a sec. Can you tell us more about how light therapy, specifically blue light, actually helps to clear up those breakouts?
Sure. So remember we were talking about how blue light targets and destroys the P. acnes bacteria? Well, that's a big part of it.
Okay.
But it also helps reduce inflammation, which, as you know, is another major factor in acne. So by calming the inflammation and reducing those bacteria, blue light helps prevent those new pimples from popping up.
That makes a lot of sense. So it's not just about zapping the zits that are already there.
Right.
It's about making the environment less friendly for acne to develop in the first place.
Exactly. And remember, combining blue and red light can be even more effective. The red light speeds up healing, reduces redness, and helps minimize scarring.
So it's like a dynamic duo for anyone battling those breakouts. All right, at this point, I'm pretty much sold on this whole light therapy thing. But I bet our listeners are itching to know how they can actually try this out. So how do we get our dose of this skin-boosting light? What are our options here?
Okay, so you've got two main paths you can go down: professional treatments or at-home devices.
Okay.
So a lot of dermatologists and skincare clinics, they offer LED light therapy sessions. They use these super powerful devices, and it's all done by, trained professionals.
Well, that sounds so fancy, like a spa day for your face.
Exactly. But of course, not everyone can afford those weekly spa trips for their face.
Sadly, I am one of those people.
Well, that's where those at-home devices come in.
Ah, yes.
They've gotten super popular lately, and for good reason. They're a lot more affordable than the professional treatments, and you can do it all from the comfort of your own home.
Yeah.
You can find everything from those LED masks we were talking about to smaller handheld devices for, more targeted areas.
So it's all about finding what works for you and your budget. That's great. But with so many different devices on the market, it can be kind of overwhelming to know where to even start.
Right.
What are some key things we should look for when we're trying to choose a device?
Okay, so first and foremost, you got to check the wavelengths. Make sure the device you pick emits the ones that'll actually address your specific skin concerns.
Okay, so like if I'm worried about wrinkles, I should look for red or near infrared light.
Exactly. And if your main concern is acne, then blue light is going to be your best friend.
Makes sense. It's all about choosing the right tool for the job.
Right. And don't forget about intensity.
Okay.
Higher intensity devices tend to work faster, but they can also irritate your skin more, especially if you have sensitive skin.
So finding that sweet spot between power and gentleness is key. Any other red flags we should watch out for?
Definitely. Be wary of devices that make these big, unrealistic claims or promise you instant results.
Yeah, because as we've discussed, light therapy takes time and consistency.
It does. And always do your homework. Read reviews, check out the brand's reputation, make sure it's been clinically tested.
So no impulse buys on those Instagram ads.
Not a good idea. Invest in a quality device that's both safe and effective.
Words to live by. All right, let's tackle the elephant in the room. The price tag.
Right.
We know those professional sessions can cost a pretty penny, but what about these at-home devices? What kind of investment are we talking about here?
Well, the cost of at-home light therapy devices can really vary. You can find basic handheld ones for under $100, while those fancy masks with all the bells and whistles can set you back like $500 or more.
So there's a wide range, which is good.
Yeah, it is.
But even at that higher end, it still seems way more affordable than doing multiple professional sessions.
Oh, absolutely. And you have to think of it as an investment in your skin health, something that'll pay off for years to come.
That's like a gym membership for your face.
Yeah.
You pay up front, but you reap the benefits down the line.
Exactly. But just like with that gym membership, consistency is key here. You're not going to see results if you only use it once in a blue moon.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Speaking of consistency, How often do you actually have to use these at-home devices to see those results?
Most devices recommend using them a couple times a week for, a certain amount of time each session. It really depends on the device and what you're trying to treat, but it's usually somewhere between like 10 and 20 minutes a few times a week.
Okay, so not a huge time commitment. That's good news for busy people like me.
Right. It's easy to fit into your routine.
All right, one last question before we move on. I know light therapy is generally considered safe, but are there any potential side effects or risks we should be aware of?
So light therapy is generally very safe when you use it as directed. You might see a little redness, some dryness, or maybe a bit of tingling after a treatment, but that's usually temporary and goes away quickly on its own.
Okay.
The biggest thing is you really want to avoid getting that light directly in your eyes during treatment. That can be dangerous.
Yikes. Yeah, eye protection is key.
Absolutely. And if you have any pre-existing skin conditions or you're taking any medications that make you more sensitive to light, definitely chat with your dermatologist before you start using light therapy.
Great advice.
Yeah.
Better safe than sorry.
Ah.
Okay, I think we've covered a lot of ground here. We've talked about the science behind light therapy, the different devices, the benefits, and even some things to watch out for. But before we wrap up this part of the conversation, I'm curious about your thoughts on the future of light therapy. As an expert in this field, where do you see this technology heading?
Oh, I think the future of light therapy is incredibly bright. As we learn more and more about its potential, I think we're going to see even more innovative applications for this technology.
Like what? Give us a peek into the future of skincare.
Well, for example, there's a lot of interest in developing personalized light therapy treatments.
Oh, wow.
Imagine having a device that analyzes your skin and then gives you a custom light therapy plan, something tailored just for you.
That sounds futuristic.
It does, right. And we're also seeing a lot of advancements in portable and wearable light therapy devices.
Oh, cool.
So you can imagine being able to treat your skin on the go, whether you're commuting or traveling or just, relaxing at home.
That would be a total game changer. No more excuses for skipping my skincare routine.
Exactly. And I think we'll also see more light therapy being combined with other skincare technologies like microcurrent therapy or radiofrequency treatments.
Interesting.
By combining these different methods, we can potentially achieve even more dramatic and long-lasting results.
So the future of skincare is all about customization, convenience, and a multifaceted approach. It sounds like a pretty exciting time to be a skin enthusiast.
Absolutely. And I, for one, can't wait to see what new discoveries and innovations come out in this field.
Well, I have a feeling we'll be having many more deep dives into the world of light therapy as this technology keeps evolving. But for now, let's take a quick break. We'll be back to explore some of those more nuanced aspects of light therapy, like the different types of at-home devices, their pros and cons, and what to really look for when you're choosing one. Stay tuned.
Sounds good.
Okay, so we're back. And before the break, we were really getting into all the possibilities of light therapy. But, there's still a lot to unpack, especially when it comes to actually using this technology ourselves at home. So let's get into those at-home devices. What are some of the, the most popular kinds out there? And what are the pros and cons?
Well, you've probably seen those LED masks. You know the ones. They look super futuristic, and they're all over social media.
Yeah.
They're definitely one of the most popular options, and for good reason. They cover your whole face, so you're treating everything at once, and they're usually pretty powerful. But, they can be a little pricey, and they're not exactly the most portable option.
Yeah, they do make a bit of a fashion statement.
They do.
But what about something a bit more low-key? Are there any handheld devices that can, deliver similar results?
Oh, absolutely. Handheld devices are great if you want to target specific areas or if you're looking for something that's easier to travel with.
Okay.
They're usually smaller and less expensive than the masks, and they let you, really zero in on specific spots like your forehead or around your eyes or even your neck and chest.
So it's kind of like choosing between a full body workout versus those targeted exercises.
Yeah, exactly. It depends what you need and what you prefer.
Yeah.
And you know what? There are even some devices out there that kind of do both. They have a mask with panels that you can detach and use as handheld units.
Oh, that's cool. It's like the best of both worlds. It sounds like there's a lot of flexibility there, which is great.
Yeah.
But let's get into specifics. What are some of those key features we should look for when we're shopping for one of these devices? I feel like it's easy to get overwhelmed with all the options.
It definitely is. There's a lot out there. So first things first, You always want to check the wavelengths.
Okay.
Make sure the device you choose uses the wavelengths that actually line up with your skin concerns.
So again, if I'm worried about wrinkles, I'm looking for red or near infrared light.
Exactly. And if it's acne you're after, then blue light is your go-to.
Right. Got to be strategic about it.
Definitely. And also, don't forget about intensity. Those higher intensity devices tend to be more effective, but they can also be a bit harsher, especially if you've got sensitive skin.
So again, it's all about finding that balance between power and, being gentle on your skin. Are there any other, red flags we should watch out for when we're browsing for a device?
Definitely be wary of anything that sounds too good to be true. Devices that promise you, miracles overnight or make really unrealistic claims.
Yeah, because we already talked about how light therapy takes time and consistency.
It really does. And also, always do your research, read reviews, look into the brand, make sure the device has actually been clinically tested. Don't just buy something because the marketing is flashy or a celebrity endorsed it.
Solid advice.
Yeah.
It's easy to get caught up in all the hype, but you're right. We want to invest in something that's high quality and effective and safe, of course.
Exactly.
Now let's talk about the cost. We know that professional light therapy sessions can get pretty expensive.
They can.
But what about the at-home devices? What kind of price range are we looking at here?
Well, it really varies a lot. Like I said before, it depends on the type of device, the features, the brand, all that.
Sure.
You can find, basic handheld devices for under $100, but then those fancier masks with all the different wavelengths and settings, this can cost you $500 or more.
Okay, so a pretty big range there, which I guess is good for consumers. Gives us some options.
Yeah, it does.
But even at the higher end, it seems like these at-home devices are still way more affordable than a bunch of professional sessions.
Oh, for sure. And remember, it's an investment in your skin. It's something that, will benefit you for years to come.
Yeah, it's not just a one-time expense. It's something that can really make a difference long-term. Okay, let's switch gears a bit and talk about, the actual experience of using these devices. Is there anything people should know about how to actually incorporate light therapy into their routine?
Yeah, absolutely. First and foremost, always follow the instructions that come with your device.
Okay.
Different devices have different recommendations for, how long you should use them and how often.
So no need to go rogue and just, wing it.
Exactly. Stick to the guidelines. And it's usually a good idea to start slow and gradually increase the treatment time as your skin gets used to it.
So kind of like easing into a new workout routine.
Exactly. And always cleanse your skin thoroughly before you do a treatment.
Makes sense. You want that light to really penetrate.
Exactly.
Any tips on when to use light therapy in relation to other skincare products?
It's best to do it after you cleanse, but before you put on any serums, moisturizers, makeup, all that.
So it gets its own solo moment in this skincare routine.
Exactly. It needs its own time to shine, so to speak.
Okay. I think we've got the basics of using at-home devices down. But before we move on, I do want to address something that I'm sure is on some people's minds. Does light therapy actually work? I know there's a lot of hype out there, but what does the science say?
That's a good question and a fair one. There's definitely a lot of marketing hype around light therapy, that's for sure. But the good news is there's also a lot of research backing it up, real scientific evidence that it actually does what it claims to do.
So it's not just a placebo effect or anything?
No, not at all. Lots of studies have shown that light therapy can actually reduce wrinkles, improve skin tone and texture, clear up acne, and we're learning more about its benefits all the time.
That's good to hear. It's always reassuring to know there's actual science behind it. But I have to admit, I'm still a little skeptical about the whole idea that light can, do all that for your skin. It almost sounds too good to be true.
I understand that. It is kind of mind-boggling when you think about it, right? But remember, we're not just talking about any old light here. These are specific wavelengths of light that have been shown to interact with our cells in very particular ways. It's not like just shining a flashlight on your face.
Right. It's very targeted and precise.
Exactly. We're using those specific wavelengths to trigger specific biological processes.
Okay, that makes sense. It's about harnessing the power of light in a very controlled and strategic way.
Exactly. And the fact that it's non-invasive and generally really safe just makes it even more appealing.
I agree. Okay, so let's talk about limitations for a minute. Light therapy isn't like a magic bullet that fixes everything, right?
Yeah.
Are there any skin concerns that it's not effective for?
Well, light therapy can do amazing things for some skin concerns. It's not a cure-all.
Right.
It's not going to magically erase deep wrinkles or severe acne scars, for example.
Okay.
And it's definitely not a substitute for other important skincare practices like wearing sunscreen and, having a healthy diet.
So it's about having realistic expectations.
Exactly. And it's always a good idea to chat with your dermatologist, see if light therapy is right for you and discuss any potential risks or limitations.
Always good to get that professional opinion. Okay, I think we've covered a lot of ground here today. We talked about the different types of at-home devices, their pros and cons, the science behind light therapy, and even some important precautions. But before we wrap up, I'm curious to get your personal take on light therapy. As an expert in this field, what's your overall impression of this technology?
I'm really excited about the potential of light therapy. I've seen firsthand how much of a difference it can make for people's skin and, even their self-confidence.
Yeah.
It's really changing the game in the world of skincare, and I think we've only just begun to tap into all the possibilities.
That's really inspiring. It's always great to hear from someone who's so passionate about their field.
And honestly, what I'm most excited about is how accessible these at-home devices have become.
Yeah.
It's giving people the power to, take control of their own skin health and really see results without having to, spend a fortune or go to a fancy clinic.
It's about making skincare more democratic, more available to everyone.
Exactly. And that's something worth celebrating, I think.
I agree. Okay, so I think we've had a pretty illuminating discussion about light therapy today.
I think so, too.
But before we completely wrap up this deep dive, I want to circle back to our listener, the one who's been with us on this journey, eager to learn more about this cutting-edge technology and how it can, maybe even transform their skin.
Right.
We've covered a lot, but now it's your turn to take what you've learned and explore further.
Yeah, and remember, the best way to know if light therapy is right for you is to do your research, talk to your dermatologist, and maybe even try out a device for yourself.
Absolutely. It's about finding what works for your skin, what fits into your routine, and, what you feel good about.
Yeah, and remember, the journey to healthy, radiant skin is always ongoing.
So true. So stay curious, keep learning, and as always, keep glowing.
Yes.
We've really gotten into the nitty-gritty of light therapy, this whole deep dive. But I want to take a step back for a sec. It just strikes me that this technology is so cool because it's like this intersection of science and beauty. We're talking about using light to actually make our skin look younger. It's almost like something out of a sci-fi movie or something.
It really is. It just goes to show how far both science and skincare have come,
Yeah.
And what's so great about light therapy is that it's not just about, superficial beauty. It's really tapping into our body's own natural healing and regenerative powers.
It's like reminding our skin cells how to be their best selves, giving them a little wake-up call with light.
But thinking about all this makes me wonder about accessibility, We've talked about professional treatments and at-home devices, but is this technology really within reach for everyone?
That's a really important question.
Yeah.
And honestly, while light therapy has definitely become more accessible in recent years, especially with all the at-home devices popping up, there are still some barriers.
Right.
Like we talked about how those professional treatments can be super expensive, and even those at-home devices, they can still be a pretty big investment for some people.
So there's still this gap between the people who can easily access this technology and those who might not be able to afford it. Yeah, unfortunately. And it's something we need to be mindful of as light therapy continues to become more and more popular. We want to make sure that this amazing technology doesn't just become something that's only available to a select few.
Right. Because skin health is important for everyone, and everyone deserves access to safe and effective treatments. It's a matter of, equity and making sure everyone benefits from these advancements.
Absolutely. And I do think that as technology keeps advancing and things become cheaper to produce, light therapy will hopefully become more affordable and accessible to a wider range of people.
Yeah, that's the future I want to see.
Yeah, me too.
But it's not just about affordability, right? It's also about education and awareness. I think a lot of people are still unfamiliar with light therapy, or maybe they're a little hesitant to try it because they don't really understand how it works.
Yeah, you're right. We need to kind of demystify light therapy, make it less intimidating for the average person. That means explaining the science in a way that's clear and easy to understand, talking about the benefits, and of course, addressing any concerns people might have about safety.
So it's all about empowering people with knowledge so they can make the best decisions for their skin.
Exactly. And that's why I think platforms like this podcast are so important.
Yeah.
By having these open and honest conversations about light therapy, we can help bridge that gap between the science and, what people are actually doing in their everyday skincare routines.
I love that. We're not just talking about gadgets and treatments. We're talking about giving people the tools and knowledge they need to really take control of their own skin health.
Exactly.
And for our listener out there who's been with us this whole time, we commend your curiosity and your commitment to learning.
Yes. Huge thanks to our listener for joining us on this journey. We hope this deep dive has gotten you thinking about light therapy and its potential, Maybe it's something you'll want to explore further for yourself.
Yeah, and remember, healthy, radiant skin isn't about chasing some, unattainable ideal. It's about finding what works for you, what makes you feel good in your own skin.
And the journey to healthy, vibrant skin, it's ongoing. Stay informed, stay curious, and don't be afraid to try new things.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Uh-huh.
And on that note, we'll wrap up this episode of The Deep Dive. We'll be back soon with another fascinating topic, so make sure you stay tuned. Until then, keep glowing.